Hello friends, welcome back to Dr. Jagdish Academy. In today's lecture, I will discuss about the drugs which we can use for the management of congestive heart failure. I have made two videos, so I will be discussing some of the things in the first part of the video. So what I will discuss in this video is that definition of CHF, different stages of CHF, what is the role of compensatory mechanisms which are activated in the CHF, how they contribute in producing the deleterious effects, then the classification of the drugs that can be used in the management of CHF, about the inhibitors of renin-angiotensin system, beta blockers, aldosterone antagonist, and loop diuretics. So I will discuss these things in the first part of the video of the congestive heart failure. So now, what is the definition of the congestive heart failure? We say whenever there is a reduction in the cardiac output, so that means heart is unable to pump the blood which is required by the body. That means heart is unable to pump to meet the demands of the body. So what happens? So body tries to retain the water inside the body. So as a result, there is a congestion. So that is why we use the word congestive heart failure. Heart has failed, as a result there is a congestion. That means there is a development of congestion, and this congestion is manifested in the form of peripheral edema. So you can say in these kind of persons there will be edema in the limbs and the feet, they are swollen. Edema may take place in the lungs also. It is called as pulmonary edema. So what will be the problem? The problem will be dyspnea, difficulty in respiration, particularly when the person tries to sleep during laying condition. But as the disease progresses, this problem of dyspnea progresses, and it happens in the sitting condition also. There may be the accumulation of the fluid in the peritoneal cavity in the form of ascites. So now we can classify heart failure on the basis of the ejection fraction. So one is called as systolic heart failure. That means when the contractility of the heart is impaired. Okay, reduction in the contractility, and you know contractility is related to the systolic functioning. So systole is not happening properly. So what happens is that the characteristic feature is that there is a reduction in the ejection fraction, the amount of the blood which is ejected in proportion to what it is receiving. So ejection fraction is reduced. It is typically less than 40%. But it is in contrast to diastolic heart failure, in which ejection fraction is approximately normal. Contractility is relatively normal. So what is the problem? Problem is in the reduction in the diastolic functioning. So because if diastole is not there, the filling of the heart is not taking place. Heart is not relaxed, and the blood is not going inside the heart to fill it. So because of the reduced filling, you can say the output is reduced. So there is a stiffness, actually we can say the ventricles, they are stiff. So these are two types of the heart failure. So now I will just briefly describe the role of the compensatory mechanisms in the whenever there is a reduction in the cardiac output. Because of these compensatory mechanisms, why I am telling it is important, because the drugs which we are using, they are actually counteracting these compensatory mechanisms. So what are three mechanisms which are the part of the compensatory mechanism? Number one, overactivation of the sympathetic nervous system. Increase in the preload. Preload means increase in the fluid content. It happens because of the activation of the renin-angiotensin system, aldosterones, and then there is a cardiac hypertrophy. These three things I will explain in the next slide in the form of the diagram. So whether there is a systolic dysfunction, whether there is a diastolic dysfunction, ultimately they can lead to reduction in the cardiac output. So now if the cardiac output is reduced, so there is a persistent activation of compensatory mechanisms. So one of the important compensatory mechanism is that activation of the sympathetic nervous system, which causes the persistent heart stimulation. This may lead to the persistent heart stimulation may produce the cardiac injury, apoptosis of the cardiomyocytes, which is having a deleterious effects on the heart on a long term basis. Second thing I told, increase in the preload. That means there is activation of the renin-angiotensin system, increase in the angiotensin 2. This angiotensin 2 increases the levels of aldosterone, and aldosterone causes the sodium and water retention, which is responsible for the congestive symptoms like pulmonary edema, peripheral edema, liver congestion, peritoneal, these kind of things. Then third thing, maladaptive changes happens in the heart, cardiac hypertrophy, the mass of the heart is increased. Simultaneously, as you can see, there is a fibrotic changes, the heart tend to become more fibrous. This is called as remodeling, reshaping. The heart becomes more stiff in nature. So as a result, the heart functioning is declined in a persistent manner. So these are the deleterious effects happening in the congestive heart failure. So symptoms, maladaptive changes and injury to the heart. So now we can classify the patient into different stages, stage 1, 2, 3 and 4 depending upon the severity of the disease. This type 1, you are not having typical symptoms in the normal condition except the person go for a vigorous exercise. In the second, there is a mild limitations with the ordinary activities. We will say it is a mild stage. Third is the moderate stage. So mild limitation of any activity. So person is comfortable only at the rest. But fourth is the severe condition in which person is not even well in the resting condition also. So this is severe condition. So now what are the drugs which we can use? So I will describe the classification actually. First category is the ACE inhibitors. The prototype drugs are captopril, enalapril, lisinopril, AT1 receptor blocker, which are also called as ARB, telmisartan, candesartan, beta blockers, we are having the metoprolol, carvedilol, aldosterone antagonist, we are having spironolactone, eplerenone, then loop diuretics, furosemide, bumetanide. So I will discuss these three, but I am continuing the classification. Positive inotropic agents, they are of different type. First category is the cardiac glycosides. Then we are having the digitalis, in which there is a digoxin, digitoxin. Then sympathetic agonist, in which we are having dobutamine, dopamine. We are having phosphodiesterase 3 inhibitors. We are having milrinone, okay, vasodilators like hydralazine, nitrate, sodium nitroprusside, then neprilysin inhibitor, sacubitril, then synthetic BNP, nasirotide. So this is the classification. So we will discuss one drug by one. ACE inhibitors or the ARB, angiotensin receptor blockers. These are the drugs which are the first choice in all stages of CHF, mild, moderate or severe. So why they are used? It reduces the congestive symptoms. The symptoms, pulmonary edema, pulmonary congestion, this is overcome. Moreover, it reduces the mortality of the person. Survival time of the CHF patients is increased. It's a long-term benefit. So that is why it is the symptomatic improvement plus overall decrease in mortality. What are the mechanisms? It reduces the preload, reduces the afterload, reduces the congestive symptoms, and reduction in the cardiac remodeling. So now these things, if you want to study in detail, you can just go and click the link which is given in the description section related to the ACE inhibitors in the CHF. So I have discussed those in more detail in the another video. Coming down to the second class, that is the beta blockers. Again, they are the drug of choice, except in the last stage, in the very severe form of the CHF. Otherwise, beta blocker, they are the drug of choice. Why they are drug of choice? Because if you are using for a long term, it produces number of beneficial effects. It reduces the mortality. Why it is effective? Because it inhibits the sympathetic nervous system. You remember, there is an overactivation of the sympathetic nervous system which produces the heart injury. So it prevents heart injury because it blocks the overactivation of sympathetic nervous system. It prevents apoptosis of cardiomyocytes. Then beta blockers are antiarrhythmic agents. So as a result, they reduce the sudden cardiac death. They reduce the incidences of arrhythmia. Arrhythmia develops in the CHF patients and person may die immediately. But beta blocker, they reduce this problem. It reduces the cardiac remodeling, reshaping, fibrotic changes. So heart is maintained, okay, in the normal shape. it reduces the progression of congestive heart failure. It reduces the mortality and increases survival. That is why you can say they are the drug of choice in the stage in CHF, except in the very severe form of the congestive heart failure. So you can again go and click the description for the more detail of the beta blockers in the CHF. Aldosterone in CHF. I will discuss aldosterone inhibitors, but before that I just want to tell what is the role of aldosterone in CHF. So now in the CHF patient, it is found that there is a very high level of aldosterone. Plasma aldosterone, the levels are increased, and the level is approximately 20 times than the normal. So more of the aldosterone causes sodium and water retention, ultimately which is responsible for the congestive symptoms. Moreover, this aldosterone produces cardiac remodeling because it produces the fibroblast proliferation. This fibroblast ultimately produces the fibrotic changes. Heart become inelastic. Another thing, I told that in CHF there are chances of arrhythmias. Why arrhythmias? Because this aldosterone causes the depletion of potassium ions. There is a hypokalemia. Aldosterone retains sodium but promotes the excretion of potassium. So there is a hypokalemia. And because of the very low potassium level, there are chances of the ventricular arrhythmia and person may die, sudden cardiac death. So these are the adverse effects of aldosterone, high aldosterone in the CHF. So now if you block this aldosterone, these things can be blocked. So that is what aldosterone antagonists they do. Spironolactone and eplerenone. What is the mechanism? Number one, they are mild diuretic. They decreases the congestion, they reduces the sodium and water retention, but this is a mild, not a very prominent action. This is a very important thing. They preserve potassium levels. So potassium is maintained. So what will happen? The incidences of arrhythmia is reduced. Sudden cardiac death incidences is reduced. Third, very important, it reduces the progression of the disease. Remodeling is prevented. Mortality is reduced. Okay, so what is the use of CHF? So remember, the drug of choice is ACE inhibitors, ARB or beta blockers. So if the person is not getting full benefit after combining ACE inhibitors or beta blockers, add spironolactone or eplerenone. So this is what I have written. Use as add-on therapy along with RAS inhibitors and beta blockers. So third is the loop diuretics. So they are also called as high ceiling diuretics. Examples: furosemide, bumetanide. So what is the role in the CHF? They are the drug of choice for reducing edema in the CHF. So that means they are just producing the symptomatic relief. How they are acting? They increase the urine output. Because they are diuretic, obviously they increase the urine output, so remove excessive water from the body. So if excess of water is removed, ultimately the pulmonary edema, peripheral edema is overcome. So as a result, it produces the symptomatic management. So remember, symptomatic management by reducing the edema. But important thing is, no effect on the progression of the disease. The disease continue to progress. Progress means heart keep on undergoing reshaping, remodeling. So what you have to do, what is the use? Use for the management of symptoms only. And once you have controlled the symptom, you can reduce the dose of diuretics or you can remove it. Again, whenever the symptoms they appear, you can use it. So you can use on and off just to overcome the symptom. Don't give for a long period of time, otherwise this is not going to have an effect on the progression of the disease. So in the upcoming video, I will continue with the CHF drugs. I will discuss inotropic agents, vasodilators and other drugs. Thank you.